This is Elias Tufexes. You're watching That Thom Clancy Show.
Damn it, Elias, you just keep stepping on my lines. But hey, everybody, welcome to That Thom Clancy Show. I am, of course, your lovable robot in a hoodie host, Mr. That Thom Clancy. Thank you all for joining us on this lovely Thursday, wherever you are. That said, quite literally, everybody on the Gulf Coast, I really hope you're safe because you know why. It's absolutely insane down there, and good luck. And that's, yeah. But, more positive note, Gamescom Live starts, like, right after the show today. Not that I'm going to try and cut things short, but I do need to know new Star Wars Squadrons information. Fictional Cat, good to have you here. This one's for you, buddy. Got you covered already. But don't worry, I know I'm going to have to do that again later. Well, without further ado, my guest today is the developer behind Schim. Yeah, it's Dutch. I'm terrible at Dutch. And he's also apparently a teapot. So, Bits and Pixels, please welcome Ewoud 3D. Hey, how's it going?
Hello. Glad to be here.
So, quick question. Are you the teapot or the frog hiding in the shadow of the teapot?
The last one.
Okay. So I was wrong. You are not, in fact, a teapot.
No.
All right. Well, my apologies on that one. Mistakes happen. Well, welcome to the show. How's it going today?
Yeah, I'm good. So glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, you are officially the last person from last month's picture game before I start trying to bring in this month's picture game people. So it took us a while to get this all set up, but I'm super happy we finally have you here because, well, I think your game looks really cool and deserves more attention. So
yeah, thank you.
No problem. Well, before we get started in the interview proper, I like to start by asking, what games are you playing right now?
I've been getting, like the past months, I've been getting really into the Persona games. I think it's getting really sucked into those games. And of course, I've been playing Fall Guys.
Man, everybody's been playing Fall Guys.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid game, but dude, there are just a couple maps that I'm just so done with.
Yeah.
Like I forgot the name of it, but it's the 3-way team match where you're collecting eggs, and I raged so hard. Like I stopped playing the game because of it, because my team legit did not do anything. And then the other two teams basically were just bullying on us, and we ended with 0 eggs.
Were you on the yellow team?
You would, with performance like that, you would think so.
Yeah.
No, we were on the red team.
The red team?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, like at least 3 people from the team were just standing in the middle of the map just emoting, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, do none of you want to advance? And then a couple other things, like how the timer is kind of BS in a couple games. Like it was team tail grab, and I legit held on to my tail for the whole match, and it's like 2 seconds left, and I'm like, all right, cool, and I stop, and the timer goes down to 0, and I'm like, okay, cool, that's awesome, and then it goes back up to 15, and I was like, what? Excuse me? And then we ended up losing because the timer changed. So that was also some bullshit. But we're not here to talk about our problems or my problems with Fall Guys. We're here instead to talk about your game. So why don't you tell us a bit about it, including how to correctly pronounce it?
So we pronounce it as Schim. It's a Dutch name, so that's that's the first thing. But I'd love to hear more like international people from all over the world how they pronounce it. If you pronounce it Schim, that's fine as well. But it's Schim here. So
That just
yeah,
makes me wonder too. How do you pronounce Vincent Van Gogh's name?
Vincent van Gogh. So it's like it, in America you'd say Van Gogh, but it's in the Netherlands we just say Van Gogh.
Yeah, and then you get the Brits who say Van Gogh, and I'm just like, whoa, guys.
Van Gogh.
Yeah, even I
that's
know
the one.
that's wrong. At least when we say Van Gogh, we're at least following the rules of English. So, but yeah, hey, excellent artist, by the way. Congrats on having that one. Is that tied into something later? No, it doesn't. All right. Well, aside from pronunciation, tell us some more about Schim.
Yeah, about Schim. It actually started out as my graduation project. I think it's I actually had to come up with a concept and had to work with another company and had to develop a product for them. Was the idea behind that graduation? I just came up with this idea, and yeah,
Nice. Well, you actually were kind enough to send me this little gameplay video here to give people an idea of the game,
yeah,
and which I borrowed dimension hopping from. And so, for people who are watching at home, the idea is you're a frog who can only traverse through shadows.
yeah.
And
And it's not exactly a frog. It's not even like an actual like animal. It's the thing itself is called a schim.
oh, well then, all of us at Picture Game were wrong because it looks like a frog.
I don't blame you.
But yeah, this game definitely reminds me a lot of. Do you know about the game Contrast that came out like 6, 7 years ago now?
No,
It
I
was.
haven't.
Oh, if you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. It's by Compulsion, the same people that did We Happy Few.
Hmm.
And it's like a 2D, 3D platformer puzzle solver, which has the main character is a magician's assistant who, through a accident in performing a magic trick, gets stuck in between the real world and the shadow world, and it's just this lovely game, which I could go on and on about, but that's not the point of today. Uh,
It
but
sounds interesting.
yeah,
I should check it out.
you absolutely should. I mean, it's very clearly your game is different from their game, which is very different from yours, but it's just this really nice, uh, really nice kind of thing. Kunia Labs, wow, so do I lose points if I miss the shadow jump? That's a good question. What happens if you miss your jump?
Yeah, I don't actually think I've made that clear anywhere on the internet. But if you miss, you basically get back to the checkpoint. So there's these shadows which have these kind of dotted outlines, and that's basically counts as a checkpoint. So that's what I'm currently using. So just if you miss, you get back to the checkpoint.
Nice. No, because it's definitely, I mean, it's a very cool and unique looking game, especially I like the ability to rotate the camera 90 degrees to give you that better view as you're moving forward. We had another game on just last week, Bunker Buster, which is like a top-down twin stick shooter, like Nuclear Throne, and they also had a similar 90-degree rotation angle thing too to give you that better idea. So it's like kind of cool to see different people arriving at like a similar conclusion, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
You know, let's look at that some more. I really like the look of this game. Well, I mean, it's like you have this, the way that you have built your lighting and shading for this game is just so interesting because it like kind of, especially in this scene here where the character's traversing through the canals, it feels like almost Game Boyish, you
Oh
know.
yeah, I've heard that before. It's the color palettes. Every level has its own color palettes. Actually,
Yeah.
this level, the with the God, what's it called? The traffic level.
Hmm.
That was actually the first first level in Schim that we were actually very proud of. But then actually this park level came along, and that one got a lot of polish. So that's kind of the flagship level in Schim right now.
Why, I can't imagine why a game with something that looks like a frog that's jumping and platforming would possibly have a traffic level as one of its first levels. Can't imagine that at all. But yeah, it's this, you know, you found this really effectively simple idea of jumping around a level and only being able to be in the shadows, and you made it really vibrant and interesting and cool.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, I mean, it's just I mean, that's like the like that is like the main point of like, you know, a game. It's like find your fun and then build on it. And you know, like, dude, you found your fun, and it's, you know, pretty easy to explain too. It's like I was talking with my wife before the show, explaining the game to her, and I was like, it's like Frogger, but you can only jump in shadows. And she was like, oh, that's cool, you know.
Yeah,
And yeah, because everybody knows Frogger.
yeah, definitely. That was actually one of the inspirations to this game. Was Frogger and Splatoon was also kind of an inspiration. It's kind of the instead of ink, you have these shadows which you can basically swim in. So that's
Yeah.
the yeah.
Yeah, it's neat. Now, I have to ask, like, as you're playing through the game, do you also have an ability to kind of like alter the shadows a bit? Like, can you have an impact on the world to kind of force like a shadow bridge between two places? Like, if the jump is too far?
Yeah. That's one thing I'm experimenting right now with, and it's not finished just yet. But in that teaser, there's actually a section where you bump into like what's it called? I don't know, some like the boat trailer. You
Oh,
basically bump into that.
yeah,
Um,
that's coming up right here, actually, going right back to it. So, oh, okay. I see. So let's just, I don't unfortunately have a way to back up real quick. So you jump into the winch, and then
yeah.
that drops the boat, and then that gives you the access to then to get into the fish shadows.
Yes.
Yo, that's neat.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be fun. Yo, whenever you have a playable build going, you know, just you know, send it over my way. You know, just like just hop on that internet, tap a few keys, and be like, "Here you go, Tom. Play the game." And I'll be like, "Okay." Uh,
Sure thing.
well, aside from Frogger, and very clearly, I'm guessing there's a little bit of folklore in there with the character. What are some of the other inspirations behind the game?
Ooh, there's once was this there was this app store of Play Store game. It's this mobile game basically. Framed it was called. Uh, that was one of the inspirations. This basically it's this story game with like it takes place in some comic kind of aesthetic with these silhouettes. So that was basically one of my inspirations. Another one was Chicory, which is a game which is currently still in development, which is it's this 2D top-down kind of game. Uh, yeah, I can't really explain it, but the art style is very. I got a lot of inspiration from that. It's kind of black and white, but the story is you gotta paint the whole world essentially.
Huh, neat. And so, I'm just not even gonna bother trying to pronounce it anymore. But your character, your little frog type shadow creature, like it is an actual creature. I mean, you seem to imply like, is it like a folklore kind of thing? Is it like a cryptid, like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness monster? Or...
Yeah, that's more of the actual story of the game, which
Okay.
is it's the Schim is basically um, the object's self, kind of, and it's if it loses its Schim, it's corrupted. It's kind of sinking away in those shadows, and this game is basically about a person who isn't really feeling anything. He's lost his Schim, his shadow. So it's basically the whole kind of the story of the game is to get back to that person.
Oh, neat. I dig it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, like, dude, like, I as I'm sure my regular viewers are aware, I like silly ideas. Uh and I'm, not to like say your game is silly in like a bad way or anything, but like that's like the kind of idea that like I really jam with for a game, especially in like the indie space, because I mean it's like so many games take themselves so seriously,
Yeah.
and like that is a point of games, but games give us this opportunity to explore these worlds and ideas that we very clearly can't do in our regular world that is governed by science and laws and physics and all that stuff, but like games allow us to step into those worlds of magic and imagination and and in some cases high technology, says the guy who plays a robot on the internet. So it's this wonderful idea. Then so it's like, where it is kind of like air quotes silly, like Peter Pan trying to get his shadow to stick back with him, so it's, yeah, except less bad Disney cartoon. No offense to people who like Peter Pan, but it's not the best. And more like cool game story with awesome visual style. And for people who are just now coming in, enjoy some visual style. Um, but yeah, it's like, yeah, this is like the kind of game that's just straight up in my wheelhouse, and I'm super happy to have somebody who's working on something like this on the show.
Yeah. Happy to
So
hear it.
are you doing all of these environments in 3D as well?
Everything is in 3D.
All right. Yeah, because it's like the kind of thing where it's like the shader model you went with is very unique in such a way, but it also feels almost like it could be 2D. So it's like, you just got to ask. I mean, I know you gave me a 3D asset to sit on the table here because apparently, like tables are better than couches when you're chilling in shadows.
Hell yeah.
But like you never know, you might have just like prepared that, so but no, I mean, like, your art style is just really cool, and I appreciate having this cool little, like, hey little guy, there you are, you know um sorry there, guys. Let's see, color palette, um so you're working on this as a solo developer, I believe.
Not exactly. I mean, as solo developer, as I'm the only developer writing the code, the shader code. I'm doing some additional modeling, um, and level design. I came up with the concept, but basically, when I started this out, the point of the exam, basically, I had to work with another company and make a product for them. So that was my last internship company called Extra Nice, who are working on their own game. It's called Skirmish, but I basically made this game with them. They gave me the freedom to make my own game, and the idea was that they are going to publish it with some additional level design, basically.
Nice. So that's pretty cool. You already effectively even have a publisher lined up too.
Yeah, it's a bit complicated how that actually works because there are some bigger publishers we've gotten into contact with, which it's pretty interesting how that's going right now.
Yeah, I can definitely understand complicated. Uh,
Yeah.
well, what the last real big question I have for the game is what targets? I was going to be like, what targets are you platforming? But which platforms are you targeting? Like, is this going to be just primarily a PC release, or are you looking also at the possibility of heading over into the console market as well?
Well, the console market would be like the dream, honestly. It's definitely going to PC, but I can't guarantee it's going to consoles.
Yeah, because I mean, dude, don't get me wrong. I look at this game and I'm like, yo, this would be so good on the Switch.
Yes, exactly.
Because without like having a better idea of how your shader model and your lighting model actually looks, the relative simplicity of your look looks like it would translate pretty well performance wise over to the Switch. But again, like without having some under the hood peaks at this project, I wouldn't really be able to make that. Wouldn't really be able to make that call. Um, but this is something we talked about a bit on the show yesterday. I had some Unreal developers, and they were talking about how much they love making shaders, and I have absolutely no idea how this all works in Unity because Unity, to the best of my knowledge, doesn't have a node-driven shader model.
It does
So,
now,
okay,
but I'm not using it in this project because I don't think it's possible in Schim. I'm using traditional written shaders. So that was something completely new to me when I started working on it because I had not really a lot of prior knowledge to shaders. So I learned a lot throughout the development.
yeah. Well, like that's something I have a hard time kind of understanding because Unreal node-based shaders, they've been node-based shaders since Unreal 3. Uh, like, how do you code a shader?
It's when you look at a shader code at first, it doesn't make sense at all.
Well, I mean,
Actually, like
code doesn't make sense to me, but
I get that, but shader code, as in like the Unity implementation, is really difficult to get into at first because it isn't unlike anything you've seen before if you have like programming experience. So
well,
yeah.
that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I got so many iterations of the shader because it was very difficult to get it working actually at first, but it's working now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see that you've achieved very interesting and, dare I say, unique look in this era. Although I did see in Unreal, one of the like Unreal evangelists, a guy by the name of Alan Noon, you can find him on Twitter. He actually posted a similar looking shader that he did in Unreal, but he was very specifically going for emulating the look of an original Game Boy. Uh,
Yeah,
so it is possible with node-based shaders. So no, I just don't mean to like poke the bear or anything, but just saying.
yeah. I got I'm probably going to learn node-based shaders in the future, but like I don't want to mess with my project now and it like implements node-based shaders
Oh no,
along with the
that's super fair.
yeah.
I mean, like, because how far along are you in development?
uh like half a year, more than half a year.
All right. Yeah, I mean, if it's working and you're really only changing color values, there's no reason whatsoever to change what's working. And I mean, unless like you run into optimization problems. But
Yeah, I believe like the written shaders that I'm using right now are actually performing better than the node-based shaders if it were to be written in or made with node-based solutions.
Nice.
So
Well, how much more
yeah,
time do you anticipate it taking you to finish the game?
that's a difficult question.
I know, that's why I
You
said
knew that.
anticipate as opposed to when are you going to be done? What's the precise
Yeah,
hour, day, and week
right.
of 2036? You know, but you know,
Yeah.
I know it's a tough question. You don't have to answer it.
Like right now, I would give it another half a year. Which is funny, because when I started this project, I didn't anticipate it to become this big with so many people actually really interested in it, which is really nice to have. But the initial idea was to have this game done in like 3 months, was it 2 months, which is kind of insane looking back on it.
Well, I mean, if you were just developing it as like a proof of concept or like a vertical slice, I mean that's a reasonable time frame.
Yeah,
But as the game has grown into something that is looking like a full retail release, yeah, you're not going to pull that off in 3 months.
no,
Like,
definitely not.
shit, dude, come on. But yeah, I mean, it's just, but yeah, I mean, I haven't sat down to play it, so I can't really, talk about like how it feels or anything. But like from the look of it, I mean, you do appear to have a pretty decently high level of polish. So, I mean, 6 months very well spent.
Awesome, thank you.
I mean, I wish I could say that after 6 months I had a similarly high polished looking game, but that's never happened before.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about how this other game looked 2D, right? This 2D kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
actually, yeah, very glad to hear it actually, because that's one of the main goals I'm trying to achieve. Not essentially in Schim, but in my work in general. I really want to blur the lines between 2D and 3D. That's my goal mainly, developing shaders.
That is a lofty goal, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say that it's an easy thing because very clearly I suck with shaders. But, uh, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out like how the shader math would work on that, and like I can visualize it in my head, but I can't use the words to really kind of make it. I can't vocalize the images and thoughts in my head. But the closest I would be able to come with, so like I imagine, so what you're doing is you're using like some form of a depth mask to just kind of like average or to like slap the same color on something. Yeah, wow, I am super eloquent on describing this, but like using your teapot here as an example. So like as everybody can tell, like it's a 3D object, and so it has depth and all that stuff. So I imagine what you're doing is you're basically applying the same amount of saturation and lighting across the entire object, across like some form of like plane, where so if the light's coming from that direction, everything in front of like my hand is going to be hit with the same amount of light, and then everything behind it's going to be in that hard shadow.
uh, I think it's close. It's just pretty basic cell shading, I'd say. Have you ever played Guilty Gear, or have at least seen Guilty Gear?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually it's fully 3D, which is very interesting because it looks 2D. Everything looks like 2D sprites, which is basically yeah, they're using these crazy shell shading and vertex normal editing. It's very complicated stuff, but it looks 2D. That's essentially what I'm trying to achieve as well.
Yeah, it took me like 2 hours to put together the shader that just throws like the black outlines on everything here. Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah, I can see that. That must be like a post processing.
yeah,
Out. Yeah, that's because I started out with these like Jet Set Radio kind of outlines at first, but they didn't really work. They just looked like silhouettes and with just some color in it. But this post-processing outline gives it a lot more detail, just a lot more depth to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like working in a post process because it allows you then the ability to, because like I also deal in material instancing, so that way I don't have anything here to kind of show it off, but I can then make changes on the fly in real time to like alter the look of it. So I'm working on a new set, which everyone knows because my 50th episode is on Monday, and so I'll be able to like play with my post processing materials in real time. You know, like smash a button and like give it like an ultra stylized look or something. So, you know,
Oh yeah, that's cool.
crap, I just overpromised on what I'm going to deliver on Monday. Shit.
You better deliver.
Now I have to do it. But yeah, I mean, dude, game looks really cool. I mean, that's the whole reason I invited you on the show. And I, you know, like at least for all the chief people in Pitch Your Game, like we looked at your game and we're all like, yo, this is really cool looking. And I remember when I told everybody, I was like, hey, I got him booked for the show, and everybody was all like, nice. And then like, you know, in your project deserves like a billion times more attention than it got, in my opinion, because it's, you know, you're doing something that's very interesting and very different. You know, it's just like, is your game basically a platformer? Yes, but you're finding that cool way to it. Like I was looking over a bunch of pitches from this most recent round, and yes, you did make it before the end, Skiva, and because Skiva is another another podcast host. He runs Between Realities, or he's one of the co-hosts on Between Realities on YouTube. So I'm glad you can actually make it today, and because you made it, check out this cool ass game. But you know, one of the things, you know, that's so interesting, like going over especially this round of pitches and stuff, is you see these like really cool ideas, but like these kind of, at least in my personal opinion, kind of subpar pitches, because it's, you know, they're throwing a pitch together like it's a like a PowerPoint slide, you know, with just like bullet points here and there. And like the cool thing like about your pitch is that you were like, hey, this is my game, this is what it is, or this is what it's like, this is how it's different, you know. And like that's a pitch that really just gets me, because like you're drawing that comparison so I can already get an idea of how the game plays, but then you're also telling me what makes it yours. And like that's to me like how a pitch should be, you know. And then of course like the gameplay video you gave was also like really just like, dude, it was eye-catching, you know. And yeah, so it was like, I'm just on there and I'm like, yo, be on my podcast, please. And you were all like, okay.
Sure.
Yeah, very Dutch. You were just like, that sounds like it could be fun. So, I mean, you know, like some people, it's like you got to like twist their arm and to get them on the show. And I'm just like, come on, just do it. You know, just come here. Let's talk about your game. I want to make you look cool, you know. But you didn't need me to make you look cool. You look cool. But yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, like, I guess that leads into just kind of a little small question, but to other people who are looking to pitch their games and looking for publishers and stuff, what's like a bit of advice you would give to people in that regard?
If they're looking for publishers pitching their game, I'm not really not that experienced with looking for publishers, so I can't really comment on that. But pitching your game, I guess just let the game speak for itself. I guess. I mean, I suppose that's easy for me to say with this kind of game. because I can imagine it would be a lot more difficult to pitch other games. Yeah. It's a difficult one. Just keep it simple, I suppose.
Yeah. Gamer Girl Sage, thanks for coming in and joining us today. Always glad to have you here. And you know what? You're here. Check out this cool game. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep playing that video over and over for people. But like now that you pointed out the little bit where he just like bops the winch to knock the boat into the water, I'm just like, dude, okay, that's really cool. I'm looking forward to similar like kind of cool style puzzles.
Yeah.
But yeah, for Skiva and Gamer Girl Sage, just so you know, this is Ewoud. He is a developer out of the Netherlands working on this game. As can you pronounce it? Because I can't do it.
Schim.
Yeah, it's a
Schim.
Dutch word.
Yeah.
Look, man, you asked me to like pronounce something in like French, like I'm all over it. You asked me to attempt to pronounce something in German. Yep, I'm right there. Dutch, nope. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're getting some pretty decent praise there in chat, Skiva. I've never seen anything that looks anything like this before. So
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, I mean, like, dude, this is just like I love this. And one of my notes that I have here is I just love your color palettes. You know, like the park segment you said, you know, like that is definitely very reminiscent of the old classic Game Boys. But then you also have like that house interior with like those like kind of purplish hues and stuff like that. And I'm just like, dude, I'm so down. Uh, you know, so I'm imagining that every level is going to have its own like unique color scheme too.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
It's
Yeah, that house, man. And like, oh, the swinging light, you know?
yes.
Dude, I want this game. I need this game.
I'm
Cause
glad to hear it.
yeah, it's gonna be like one of those silly games, and it's just silly. You know, it's just gonna be like a game that is built around just fun. And yeah, I mean, I've can't think of any more ways to say this to you, but yeah, dude, you nailed it. That said, though, I hope it doesn't play like complete garbage. But you know,
I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
okay, cool. Now, are you going for like keyboard and mouse or controller for your controls there?
I'm using a controller myself, and because it doesn't play that well with keyboards, doesn't feel very comfortable to play with keyboards. Yeah.
Good man. Good man. You like look, I'm a huge proponent of keyboard and mouse for a lot of games, but some games are just meant to be played with controllers. It's that simple.
Yeah. I just got a controller for this one game I was playing, was just this Near Automata. That's
Yeah.
why I bought my controller, because it was impossible with keyboards and mouse, because I just die in like the first half hour. And ever since then, always if I get the option to play with like a controller, I just use my controller. Except if it's like a first person game, that keyboard and mouse all the way.
Yeah. Well, I just remember I did a 2-year program in game development. It's like, geez, like 8 years ago is when I started it. And it was at the same time that Dark Souls was getting ported over to PC. And one of the kids that I was in class with was like huge, like PC Master Race purist kid. And then he's all like, I have to wait for a controller to come in. And I'm like, what the? You know, like PCMR kid. Like, why are you all about the controller for this? Like, shouldn't, you know, like every PC game be like so perfect on keyboard and mouse? And he's like, you clearly don't know anything about Dark Souls. And I was like, this was the same kid who also hated the idea that programmers could program and design things and all this stuff and blah blah blah. And I'm like, you clearly hate the idea of actually working in game development. But Skiva, all games are meant to be in VR. Wink. No VR, no buy for me. And in fairness, as he admits, he is VR obsessed, which I can fully understand. Though I like, I love VR too, but I just like my VR game catalog is just minuscule. I mean, it's just like I play Pistol Whip and I play Beat Saber, and like I have a bunch of other VR titles and stuff too, and like I really want to get more into VR gaming, but at the same time, it's like VR for me is also this wonderful like performance tool and social tool. So but it's so interesting, and it's something we'll talk about because small spoiler alert for next week. Skiva is actually going to be a guest on the show on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. So it's going to be really interesting to sit down and talk with like another VR enthusiast about all that. But that said, though, there have been I've had a couple VR developers from Pitch Your Game on here too, and like the creativity that's coming out of the VR space is just absolutely insane. And Alex, oh heck yeah, I was going to ask if he was going to be able to make the show. His co-host Alex is going to be there too, so I'm going to have the whole Between Realities crew on here. That said, though, man, if your angry robot shows up, I'm going to kick his ass. They have an angry robot that shows up on their show every now and then. Yeah, so I'm going to kick his ass. You tell him to stay away from here. But yeah, and it's just because there's this one, Kane was on a couple weeks ago, and he just sent me like a tech demo for his VR game that I need to actually sit down and play. So Kane, if you're here, I'm sorry, I haven't gotten to it yet, but I will today, I promise. And like he's using like manga panels to like add like story elements to the game, and it's just like all of these crazy ideas that are coming up that like we probably should have already come up with. But because of the level of immersion and all that stuff that comes with being in VR, like there's so many cool new things that are just like being thought of. But, and then at the same time, we see, games like yours, which are still finding all of these interesting ways to take traditional gaming and still make that interesting and fun.
Yeah.
So like, dude, it's just gonna be so fun, like so interesting moving forward, because it's like Skiva and I are like old school gamers, and we've seen the development pretty much from like Pong Arcade to now, and it's just been just so nuts how far we've advanced in 40, 50 years. And like just imagine what like the next like 40, 50 years are going to be like, like what new technologies and like shader mechanics and like lighting tools and all this stuff is going to come out that we can't even begin to imagine now.
Yeah, true. Just even more immersion.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Like, so yeah. Stevie, you tell that robot of yours that he wants to meet me in a dark alley somewhere. It's going down. It's going down. Need another coffee cup. Yep, we're good. But yeah, yeah. I'm just really happy as an old school player to know that there are like young cool developers like you who are like making awesome shit, and I can't wait to see what you're coming up with. Like, dude, like you're like this game is going to be great, and the one that comes after it that's built upon the lessons you've learned on this one, like, dude, so excited.
Yeah, I've got some more ideas, but I got to finish this game first.
Yeah. Yes. Finish this one now. New ideas later.
I mean, it's the thing. If I'm working on this, I just new ideas come it just hits me every time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. If you were to look in my Epic launcher, you would see a lot of games that I have experimented with that have never gone beyond just like really super early gray boxes, because some projects like sound great in your head but are terrible.
Oh yeah.
Like, let's see, what was a bad idea game that I came up with? No, that one was actually good. I just never actually got around to making it good. But I had one. It was going to be a endless runner action platformer. Not fun. Not at all.
An endless platformer.
Yeah, so well, it was going to be like an endless runner in that you're like always moving forward at like a constant rate, but it was also going to be like an action platformer on top of it, and it just like nope, was not fun. Maybe like I just lacked the skill at the time to make it fun, but it wasn't fun. You know,
been there.
There was the time I tried to make a game about being in a submersible. Not fun either. You got to try things to find out what works, and if it doesn't, you have lessons to learn from failures just as much as you do from successes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, Skiva, you're right. An endless runner action platformer could work. It just didn't. Like I just failed at it like hardcore. But well, I'm out of questions. So audience members, if any of you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them down in chat. Don't worry, as very clearly obvious, I have the capability of reading your chat on this lovely little laptop right here. Otherwise, if I don't get a question in like, let's just say the next like 40 seconds, I'm going to have to resort to my last set of questions. But I don't want to do that quite yet. Now I'm just stalling for time. It's basically, what I do. Where did the influence for the shadow jumping come from?
I think it's I see this on Twitter a lot too, which is or hear this on Twitter from other people. And it's very reminiscent of their childhood, just the shadow game, just jumping from shadow to shadow is the kind of thing. And I think that's one of the influences of mine.
Nice.
And I think that's what sets this game also makes this game unique. People can relate to it. People can relate to it basically from their own childhoods.
Yeah, like honestly, that was a game that I completely forgot I even played until you just mentioned it. And then it all came back to me. I was like, holy shit, yeah, I did that as a kid.
Yeah.
Like that lovely offshoot of the floor is lava. It's and Skiva, it's not actually a frog. It just looks like a frog.
Yeah.
Ewoud can better explain it than I can because he can actually pronounce the words. But it's not actually a frog, though. That is a fair misidentification because that's what I thought it was too.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, dude, thank you so much for being on the show. But there's one last thing we have to do, and it's a little bit that I like to call the five questions. The five questions. Yeah, you threw me off there.
I'm sorry.
Would you like to host the show? No.
I'm good.
It's the 5 questions. So, for anybody who's here for the first time, the 5 questions are a series of, 5 questions that I prepared before the show that have pretty much nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far today. So, question number 1, what is your favorite PlayStation game?
My favorite PlayStation game, that's exclusive to PlayStation?
I mean, it that is implied in the question, but I'm not going to hold you to it because I didn't explicitly ask that.
Okay, well, I guess it's going to be, I'm going to say Persona 4, but that one just got released on Steam. But I guess it's Persona 4 Golden.
Cool. I mean, it did originally. There was a relative amount of platform exclusivity to it. So,
Yes.
uh, so yeah, you managed that. Well done. Um,
Yes.
all right. Question number 2. You're given the option between these two superpowers. Which do you choose? Flight, super strength.
I guess flight. I don't really see a situation where I need super strength.
I mean, you might not see a situation, but that doesn't mean one won't arise. I
That's
mean, like,
true.
you are in Europe, so you do have that lovely rail system that connects you to all the countries. And hey, maybe sometime you might need that super strength to like carry all of the luggage.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like I can't speak for like German or Belgian or Dutch train stations, but I can at least speak for French ones. And dude, they got lots of stairs. And like, while flight would definitely be useful for dodging the stairs, super strength would be super handy for like carrying luggage down or up all of those stairs. Um, I just like to make like the point for the other one too, just in case.
Hmm.
Question number 3: what is your dream travel destination?
Ooh, I don't know. I think Japan. I don't think that's a very original answer, but
Hey,
yeah,
man, it doesn't matter if it's original or not. It's your
that's
answer,
true.
and that's what
Yeah,
matters. I mean, like, dude, don't get. I want to go to Japan.
yeah,
You know, like, honestly, like, I want to go to Japan right now for like a really kind of silly reason, and it's just because Universal Studios Japan has the Mario world set up there, and I just want to go do that. You
Oh
know,
yeah, I've heard about that.
like, I mean, one, I love amusement parks, but like and like I like rides and stuff, don't get me wrong, but as I've gotten older I really appreciate more the novelty of like the setting of these things. So like Universal does Halloween Horror Nights usually, not this year for obvious reasons. um and like I really like that because they build these like not interactive, but they build these really well put together like haunted houses, with like really cool themes and stuff. And like the last few years, it's been like our Halloween tradition in our house to go to that. So because it's like the thought that they put into these, it's just amazing. Like they even like get down to like they want certain rooms to smell certain ways, and so it's like
Yeah,
I want to experience that, but like like for Super Mario Brothers or like Galaxy's Edge at Disney for Star Wars.
yeah,
That's like this kind of stuff that I really dig about. Like again, virtual reality is the ability to like go to places that very clearly couldn't exist in the real world. And
yeah.
like yeah, Japan is all on top of making it happen in the real world. So, Chroma, I was planning on going to Japan this year, but yeah, 2020 can
Not a
do
good year.
several impolite and uncomfortable things to itself. Uh, yeah, that's about all I can say about 2020. On the positive side, it will end. Uh, it will end. So, question number 4: who is your favorite painter?
I have never thought about it actually. Uh, yeah.
Done my job good over
It's because
here.
I'm
Stumped him on a
Dutch, isn't it?
question.
It's because I'm Dutch, isn't it?
No, actually, I've asked this
Okay.
question before.
Okay.
Except previously, I've asked the question as who is your favorite traditional artist, but I decided to go with painter because I figured more people would know more painter names than like, you know, illustrators or like I didn't, MC Escher, like he all of his stuff is like prints, like he like carved it into like wood and shit and then like printed that
Yeah.
on paper, you know like yeah.
Actually, yeah. Fun fact. MC Escher is actually from Leeuwarden, I believe, and that's where I'm currently going to school. So that's pretty cool.
Neat.
But yeah, my favorite painter, it's gonna say Bob Ross, suppose.
Are you just saying that because Skiva put it up in there, or
Oh, I didn't even. Oh yeah, no, I see it.
No, Bob Ross is great. Don't get me wrong. I love that guy.
Yeah.
He's like the Mr. Rogers of the paint world. I'm a Monet fan personally. I really like I love impressionism. It's my personal favorite era of popular painting. So, yeah, which was also Van Gogh was loosely associated, but did his own separate but similar thing to Impressionists. But I mean, he's also an excellent painter too. But all right, question number 5, and this one is the most important one to me personally.
I'm ready.
So, all right, what's your favorite species of dinosaur?
Oh, I'm not very big on my dinosaur. Yeah, yeah, I could say T-Rex, but that's like the only dinosaur I know on the top of my
That's
head.
fine. It's a solid choice.
Yeah. It's gonna go with T-Rex then.
All right. Awesome. Great choice. You know, good, solid American dinosaur. No. Not that.
American dinosaur.
Interesting fact, and this is something I learned several years ago, is that Tyrannosaurs, like its entire family, the family line goes back way further than anybody previously thought, at least prior to the 21st century. And there were Tyrannosaur species basically all across the northern, or what is now the northern hemisphere, in Asia, America, or North America, and also a couple in Europe too. So yeah, pretty neat, huh?
Neat.
T-Rex was, of course, the biggest and one of the last of them out there, but they, ranged in size from like small to huge, and yeah, it was just very diverse line of animals. And they're also not related to, or they're not like directly related to a lot of the similar looking animals like Allosaurus, Ceratosaurus, Carcharodontosaurus, Giganotosaurus, stuff like that. Like they are actually more closely related to the Dromaeosaur and raptor families.
I'm not even sure. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about
That's
with
fine.
a lot of these names. But
you were
it sounds
talking about shader code, and I was just like, outside I'm all like, yeah, yeah, it sounds really cool. On the inside, I'm like, I have no idea what he's saying. I am
I get it.
lost right now. But yeah, well, it's been awesome having you here on the show. Thank you so much for being our guest.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, aside from your Twitter account, which I've been slapping up on screen every now and then, is there anywhere else where people can go to stay up to date with you and your projects and all that stuff?
There's an itch.io page up. Should I send the link? Where should I put it?
Unfortunately, I can't put the link in Twitch chat. Like I just went like full no links unless you're a mod. Thing, because we've had follower bots have come in here in the past and they just go like, oh yeah, buy followers, and I'm just like, yeah, that sounds like a wonderful idea. So yeah, well, shoot, well, wait, your itch page is linked on your Twitter profile.
I'm gonna double check that one real quick.
I think if it isn't, your personal website is, which also then leads to your has a link as well, if memory serves.
It doesn't. The website on my Twitter is really outdated. Like, I should probably. I'm gonna replace it with the itch.io page right now.
Cool.
So you can now go to my Twitter, and the link should be there.
Cool. And if you guys just wait like another 8 seconds, his Twitter will be right back up. But either way, it's at Ewoud3D. Yeah, right there. Boom. There's his Twitter. So, yeah. Oh, dang, Fictional Cat. You're on point. I dig it. Fictional Cat also threw your itch.io page on there too.
Oh, nice.
So, Mod Supreme, keeping that title. So, well, Ewoud, it has been a pleasure to have you on the show. When you get closer to release, shoot me a message. We're like connected on like at least 2 or 3 platforms now. Hit me up, man. I'd love to have you on the show again. But if you hang out for just a moment, I have to switch over to this camera angle real fast and say thank you all for joining us today. Skiva, it is excellent to have you here for more than just the last 2 minutes of the show. I imagine this was tough for you. You probably woke up like super early for you. But, throwing shade at my guests. It's like I don't want to keep people in my audience or something. But for everyone else, thank you so much for joining us and supporting our wonderful guest over here. Just a quick note, I'm going to be off until Monday. And that's because I need a lot of time to get set up for episode 50. Which is going to be Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, right here. Actually, it's going to be right over there because, as some of you know, I'm in a garage, and my garage door is right over there. And for the first time, I'm going to be opening it up so you all can see what's outside. And hopefully, it's not going to be a disappointment. So, folks, until Monday, just remember, drink some water, have some vitamins, wear your masks, and always be kind. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of That Thom Clancy Show. Until then,